A revolting low blow. Can you believe this? Meghan Markle mocking the late Queen Elizabeth II, not for the first time. Let's just take a look at the bow, of course, the Netflix bow. And as Nancy Sidley, who's actually here tomorrow, said, if Meghan was not mocking Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth again, then she needs to come out and correct the rumours, because this is outrageous. And I think it is outrageous because what Meghan tried to do with this St. Patrick's Day disaster was invoke the memory of the late Queen Elizabeth II based on total lies. A very obvious leak to her favourite magazine in America, People, which is her latest propaganda, even ran the headline, did Meghan Markle use Queen Elizabeth's gift for Prince Archie to make a St. Patrick's Day breakfast? And of course, the reality is no. No, she did not. These revolting-looking waffles, which ended up being used for imagery to mock the late Queen Elizabeth II, did not even come from the waffle maker in question.
So Archie fell over. Archie fell over and broke it, apparently.
Oh, gosh. Sorry.
That's what happened to it.
Angela Levin, our royal mastermind here. Okay, Angela, we'll look.
Sorry.
You were chomping at the bit. Okay, so what? The waffle maker doesn't even exist?
No.
Goodness me. Okay, well, let's look at the video. Let's look at this video that she posted on Instagram. Looks totally good.
This is one of the most revolting Meghan Markle scandals we have ever seen. If you thought her Netflix mock curtsy was bad, this latest stunt proves she has no respect for the late Queen. So let's break this down, because what Meghan just pulled on St. Patrick's Day is absolutely insane. Yes, you're seeing that right. Meghan Markle actually had the audacity to link Queen Elizabeth's name to waffles in a bizarre social media post. And why? Because she wanted to make herself the center of attention on St. Patrick's Day.
And Angela, then we get to the imagery where she's mocking the late Queen Elizabeth II. At least that's what Nancy Sidley thinks. That's what I think. And I guess, Angela, I would usually give people the benefit of the doubt. But given that we know that she views the Queen as just someone to mock, we saw it in this moment of the Netflix series Harry and Meghan. Do you think this was her purposefully taking the mickey out of Queen Elizabeth II?
Yeah. She's trying very, very hard at the moment to be vile about the royal family. She's saying half things in a sentence that you know is being rude and crude, but she's actually trying to push it in. And here is another example. I mean, she won't actually give way. And what can she do now? The Queen is dead. Well, for me, is much, much worse. But for her, she thinks it's a joke. I'm sure she thinks it's a joke. And I mean, it's a good job that she doesn't show us eating it, because I think I would scream, because she's just awful. You know, she pushed in front of her to get into a taxi. She pushed in front of her to get flowers. Then they went out to their one outing together. But most of all was the curtsy, which put loads of people off her. But to do that is absolutely disgusting. She's got no excuse, because if she'd have shown that earlier, somebody would have seen it and said, oh no, that looks like the late Queen. And she said, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, chucked it out. She wanted it to have grace as well, that she thought she was actually using a very expensive thing, that croissant single Belgium round waffle maker, and that's the one the Queen gave to Archie for Christmas. But he actually jumped off somewhere and knocked it over, and it was completely broken. So it does not exist. And all the more to know that actually this is what they're using. But it hasn't got the squares that a good one has.
Exactly.
It's just all just squared in one. You see, that looks more like a round one, not a four-portioned.
Yeah, so yet again,
piece.
Angela, this is effectively a tissue of lies because firstly, she's not using the waffle maker that the late Queen gave to Prince Archie, despite the briefing to People magazine. That's the first thing. The second thing is the experts who have looked into this say that the waffle that she presents in the finished Instagram post was not the awful looking one that she put into the waffle maker. So she's cheating there too.
Yeah, but don't you feel, you see, she feels she's nearly done with Philip, nearly done with Harry now. And she can get rid of him with actually no problem. She thinks she can do it all by herself. You can feel it that the change is happening. She doesn't bother. So therefore, she can be as rude as she likes. He's not going to stop her. No one is going to stop her now. And my goodness, I suspect she's going to be absolutely more vile than we've seen so far.
And here's where it gets even worse. Angela Levin has confirmed that the waffle maker Meghan is referring to was actually broken years ago. Meaning, she completely made this up. Meghan Markle's St. Patrick's Day post was a complete lie. She implied she was using the Queen's gift, but the waffle maker doesn't even exist anymore. This was a deliberate attempt to drag the Queen's memory into Meghan's self-promotion. At this point, Meghan is literally rewriting history to fit her narrative, and it's disgusting.
A lot of good folk online have been picking up on this. Angela, let me take you through some of it. The comments section posted, Meghan Markle's relentless compulsion to lie about everything is baffling, even over something as trivial as a waffle. She posted a video of herself using a waffle maker with a divider, yet the so-called homemade waffle she presented looked exactly like a store-bought one, missing the dividers that should have been there. Why stoop to such a pathetic, pointless lie? This constant need to twist reality and deceive, especially over something so insignificant, is deeply concerning. She seriously needs help. According to Taz, posted, this was incredibly obvious to most. She clearly didn't use the waffle maker to create this monstrosity, as Sabera alone pointed out, as no waffle iron marks, but she wanted the reference to Queen Elizabeth II. Pretty twisted after everything she did. And then this is what Sabera said, who spotted it first. Every time I say I'm going to be quiet about that annoying woman, she does something stupid. She did not make that mess in the waffle maker. Anyone notice something missing? The waffle maker has 4 sections. None of that slop she made has any sections. Come on, people. At least call her lies out instead of just posting about her. This is what a 4-section waffle would look like. So it feels pretty categorical, Angela.
I think she doesn't care. She doesn't care. As we said before, a week or so ago, that actually she doesn't care what the royal family think now, because she was going to say what she's going to say and behave like she is, and she thinks it's all very clever of herself. But this one is really beyond any words. And I think this shows you that she's absolutely going over the top to make herself seen and heard and to win. I mean, this is what she thinks is winning, but actually thinks this is losing, because the people who liked her will find out that she's even more ghastly than they thought.
Well, actually, that's a good point, because the Royal News Network posted on this stunt, Angela. Imagine leaving the royal family, the most famous family in the world, with a global impact and influence, all so you can shill a themed breakfast done 10,000 times before by better content creators. Oh, the pathetic fall of Meghan Markle. And then we have the motivation as to why she did this. And of course, Angela, we saw Catherine, the Princess of Wales, absolutely owning St. Patrick's Day. And I'll show you some of her in just a moment. But before we get there, according to Taz wrote, fixing the headline for the Daily Mail, Meghan's desperate attempt to get herself in the news on St. Patrick's Day, knowing the Princess of Wales would be getting lots of coverage. thought she cancelled her Irish heritage in favour of Nigerian. And that is because, Angela, before Meghan decided that she only wanted to embrace her mother's heritage and talk all the time about the fact that she's apparently 43% Nigerian according to some sort of dodgy DNA test, forgetting the fact that she had previously claimed to have Maltese heritage as well. Before all of that, she used to be very proud of her Irish heritage on her dad's side. Paula M, the great Paula M, tracked this video down.
And let's not forget, this is not the first time Meghan has mocked the late Queen. In fact, she has a long history of humiliating the monarchy. Remember when Meghan dramatically acted out her first curtsy to the Queen on Netflix? She literally turned it into a joke, pretending she had to bow like a medieval court jester. Meghan mocked the Queen in front of millions on Netflix. She laughed at royal traditions, even after being welcomed into the family. She's now using the Queen's name to stay relevant, even after her passing. Angela Levin said it best. Meghan is still trying to take jabs at the royal family, even after the Queen's death. And why? Because without the royals, she has nothing.
But Angela, the thing is, she hasn't spoken about that Irish heritage in years. This seems to me a blatant attempt to steal the attention from Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who we know is always glowing on St. Patrick's Day, but she couldn't do it last year, Angela, because she was going through her treatment for cancer.
Yes. I think all this, this is so thrilling. This is so wonderful. All those words mean absolutely nothing. And she keeps changing wherever she goes. She's got some things that belong to her there. And she's absolutely just trying to please everyone in the most unpleasurable way. But when you look at Catherine, she's adorable. I mean, you just have to love her. She walks beautifully. She's always smiling. You can see that she and her husband adore each other. So there's a lot of feeling of being relaxed. And she really, really does like St. Patrick's. I mean, she's likes football and rugby. And she was very sweet to see that she won and William lost. And she was joking away. They like to sort of play I can do better than you, which is a game rather than something nasty. And she wanted to just pretend that, but she would be extremely kind and nice and make him laugh and all sorts of things, because she knows that football match is very, very important to him. But together, they can do anything together. It doesn't matter. They sort of get over it very quickly. So that's a joy to look at her, actually, and to see her about and seeing her looking as beautiful as she was before she said that she'd got cancer is just lovely and warm, and you feel very grateful that she's back stroking a dog, which she always loves to do.
Yeah, and there were
she put a lot of money behind the bar that they could all have some Guinness. She took Guinness, but she only had 1 or 2 sips. You can imagine that she wouldn't want to take any more under any circumstances, but she's left money so that they could all have a lovely time. These things that you think about when you're royal, you don't have to do that, you can just say cheerio, but she makes that effort and she's laughing about it and smiling. And she's just a delight. And I think that makes Meghan more and more and more furious, but she'd never get anywhere near her. You see, Catherine, how she wears her clothes very beautifully, the dark green with the flowers there. I mean, she just looks stunning. And Meghan mainly looks a wreck. She just doesn't know how to put on her clothes somehow. They just don't fit her and they're awfully uncomfortable looking. But she's, meticulous. And it's I hate that dress. It's sort of vulgar and crude, and it doesn't fit her properly. Anyway,
there was a new as ever Instagram post to Angela yesterday, which I think we can have a look at. She spoke about simple pleasures. And there you see her with some blueberries in one of her beige tops. So that was a new one. But Catherine also had a couple of lovely videos. So I want to show you 2. The first is the lovely sort of edited zhuzhy, is that a word? Zhuzhy video that Kensington Palace put together to mark the day. But then actually we see just some of that lovely interaction that you spoke of, Angela.
And now let's talk about how Meghan planted this ridiculous waffle story in People magazine. Because folks, this is 100% a calculated PR move. Think about it. Why would People magazine suddenly be reporting on Meghan Markle's breakfast? Because this is what she does. She leaks her own stories to the media to stay relevant. And of course, they didn't even fact-check the story. They just ran it as if it were true, even though the waffle maker doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh.
What's lovely is that you see children adore her. Children she's never met before. They run into her arms and hug her round her stomach. And they just do that because they feel that she's warm. The dogs love it, that she comes along and strokes them. She's never seen them before. You know, sometimes dogs are quite nervous and step back because they don't know someone, especially a dog that's a sort of working dog. And then the dog thinks, oh, she's all right. And you see, she's got that special star quality that anybody likes. If they're children, if they're dogs, if they're horses, anything. We're very lucky. We're very, very lucky. So we must look after her. So
yes, we must.
Well.
Now, Angela, it's D-Day for Prince Harry in terms of the release of his immigration records. But what I wanted to discuss here, Angela, is the way that the Sussex squad are trying to frame this whole debate. Because all of a sudden, Angela, they've thrown out the window anything to do with morality or truth-telling or breaking the law, because they've decided that what they want to do is criticize people for saying that we want to break up Harry and Meghan's marriage. I'm not saying that is what we want to do, but that is their claim. And that is their way, Angela, that they are able to try and say, oh, just don't even worry about it. Don't even worry if Harry lied. Don't even worry if he broke the law. And it's a Sussex squad diversion tactic. And we saw it with a woman who I think was a Sussex squad plant, who called in to a Channel 5 show today to challenge Lizzie Cundy. Now, for folk who don't know, Lizzie Cundy is the former close friend of Meghan Markle who was ghosted by the Duchess when she met Prince Harry. Watch this. Now, Angela, I've got no idea who that presenter is. But Lizzie Cundy is actually completely right there. She's totally right. She's not trying to break up the marriage. She just wants the truth. And you see what happens. You've got the diversion from the Sussex squad, and then the TV presenter automatically tries to discredit the whole thing because the Heritage Foundation happens to be right-wing. Well, we both know Niall Gardner. He is a very decent human being, and he is doing this because the truth matters when it comes to immigration. But do you see what I'm saying, Angela, about the diversionary tactics that are being used by both the mainstream media and the Sussex squad today?
Yes, I mean, we've seen that in all sorts of areas, haven't we?
Yep.
And they just like to make people feel humbled and bad, that they're bad. Well, they're not bad. If the rule says something, if that's the law, then you must abide by the law. And you can't just have the Heritage Foundation by Niall Gardner, who's fought very hard so that people don't think that Harry is just getting special service when other people are not. He's no longer a working royal, so the judgment should be just for what he's done. Now, I go back, and I think I can never understand it, that he put in his book, The Spare, all the drugs that he's taken, and I cannot understand it. If anybody cared for him, that Meghan should have said, oh, because she's bound to have read it. I guarantee she'd have read it. She would
absolutely. She's a control freak.
She was in and what he said about her, and said, "Gosh, don't say this. Don't say this. Why didn't the publisher do something about it? Why didn't the lawyer who read the book do something about it? Why didn't the man who actually wrote it say something about it?" So I don't think that anybody there actually felt in a good way that they could help Harry. And if I'd have read that book before it came out, although I'm now cross with him and I don't like Meghan, it's got nothing to do with it. I would say you'd be insane to keep that in your book. You're asking for trouble. Don't show off about it. Get it ripped out. And he had the chance because he could reread it before it went into publication, and it could say, I don't think this is the right thing. The fact that he didn't is his fault, and all the people who were surrounding him's fault. And so what do they have to do? Come up with people probably who are paid and scream at us that we don't know what we're doing and we want to ruin his life and all that sort of thing. That's absolutely not on. And I'm not even saying whether Meghan still wants to be with him or not. That's not relevant. The relevant is that the law says something and he has to abide by it. And they're going to have a look and see what the matter is.
Meghan Markle is still controlling the media with false stories. People magazine exposed as part of Meghan's PR spin machine. This proves that Meghan is still obsessed with using the Queen's name for clout. And let's be real, if she can lie about something as small as waffles, what else is she lying about? And here's the most disturbing part of all. Meghan isn't just making up stories, she's actually trying to replace the real history of Queen Elizabeth. She mocked the Queen's traditions, then tried to act like she was a victim. She claimed the royals were racist, then backtracked when asked for proof. Now she's trying to insert herself into the Queen's legacy, with lies. Angela Levin says it best. This is all about power. Meghan is trying to control the story, to make herself look like the good one, while trashing the royal family at every opportunity. And this is why people are done with Meghan, because every time she speaks she gets caught in another lie.
Well, yes, Angela, and the point is, right, Harry always knew, including when he was writing Spare, that there was a possibility that Donald Trump was going to return to the presidency. Trump never hid the fact that he was running, right? Now, Harry and Meghan may have had the arrogance of people in that woke Hollywood bubble that there was no way that Trump was going to get back in. They may have hoped and thought that was the case because we know that they were completely in the tank for Joe Biden. But the reality is they were so stupid because Trump's number one issue, Angela, his number one issue is illegal immigration. So he's always going to care if someone, even a big celebrity, lied on their immigration documents. Now, he has said that he has no plans to deport Prince Harry, but that doesn't mean that there is not going to be significant legal difficulty for him in the weeks to come. And it was very stupid, very naive of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But Angela, I just want to show you another great video that Paula M has put together. And can you believe, Angela, it is 5 years since Harry and Meghan's famous freedom flight. Yeah, since the freedom flight from Canada to Los Angeles. Angela, isn't it fascinating to think 5 years has passed since that moment?
But I've heard today that they think that if they open all the documentation for people to see, that Harry will choose to go and live in Canada, not come to the UK. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the UK. So he's in a mess altogether, isn't he? Absolute mess. But what an awful thing to say, you know, liberation and all that. It's so childish and it's so unfair, isn't it? You could have done it quietly. The Queen was giving them the chance to go away, but they wanted everything written down properly, and so it would be smooth. They could all send a joint message to people, and they would know that they both didn't mind, but they had to do it in a spiteful way. And you think they've had a marvelous time, even if they didn't like it. They have been able to see anyone they wanted. They've been able to get known by the world. And Meghan needs longed for that. So she shouldn't be moaning non-stop for all these years, or get Harry to do it for her, which she often does.
And Angela, of course, this connection to the Biden administration is really serious. Ashley Biden, Joe Biden's daughter, has now been referred to the IRS over this $250,000 donation from Archewell, and it's looking like they're being exposed. They were trying to curry political favor.
Yes, well, you have to let the tax people know if you have something like that, and quite right too. But they didn't, and they've just said now that they didn't realize they had to answer that bit, and they didn't realize that, it was so important. And oh goodness, they're very sorry. If you've ever seen that thing from Russia, Australia, and there's people coming through and they have to go and they're not allowed to take food into Australia, they're not to take all sorts of things there. And they go in and they say, oh, I didn't know it was in my case. They say, well, of course it's in your case. Who put it there? I said, oh, it must have just somehow gone there. And they don't sort of realize that there's a reality of what's happened. And that's, I think, what they've done. And Biden should be very ashamed of himself. Because he should have checked what his daughter was doing, and checked that she'd also told the tax people what it was, because that's an awful lot of money, and you can't just get away with that. And people are now demanding all sorts of things that they have to make sure that they understand and do. So it'll be very unpleasant for her for quite a long time, but you can't help that, You can't just hide where the money's been.
So, let's break it all down. Meghan Markle just pulled one of her most disgusting publicity stunts yet. She lied about using the Queen's gift. The waffle maker doesn't exist. She's still trying to manipulate the media. People, magazine exposed. She has a long history of mocking the Queen, and now she's using her name for PR. Meghan Markle is obsessed with rewriting royal history, but the truth is finally coming out. At this point, Meghan Markle will do anything to keep her name in the headlines, even if it means mocking the Queen's legacy. And the biggest question now? Why is Prince Harry still letting her get away with this? So now the big question. Was Meghan Markle's St. Patrick's Day waffle stunt a deliberate dig at Queen Elizabeth? Is she still trying to humiliate the royal family? And why does she keep rewriting history? Let me know in the comments.